On February 26, the airwaves won't just carry music, they will carry anticipation. When Bruno Mars steps behind the mic to host his own special broadcast, fans won't simply be tuning in to a radio show, they'll be witnessing a rare, intimate preview of the next chapter in one of pop music's most carefully crafted careers. In a surprise announcement that quickly ignited social media, Bruno Mars revealed he will host Romantic Radio with Bruno Mars, an iHeartRadio album preview, a one-night event offering fans an early listen to new music before its official release. The special, produced in partnership with iHeartRadio, will also allow listeners to submit their personal love stories for a chance to receive a song dedication, and even relationship advice directly from Mars himself. It's promotional. It's personal, and it's classic Bruno. The broadcast serves as a preview for his forthcoming album, widely reported to be titled The Romantic, his first full solo project in a decade. For an artist known for precision timing and strategic silence, the move feels deliberate. Bruno Mars does not flood the market, he arrives. To understand why this moment matters, you have to rewind. Born Peter Gene Hernandez in Honolulu, Hawaii, Bruno Mars grew up surrounded by showmanship. His father was a Latin percussionist, his mother a singer and dancer. By age 4, he was impersonating Elvis Presley on stage. That early exposure to performance shaped his musical instincts not just as a vocalist, but as an entertainer who understands staging, spectacle, and emotional payoff. His breakthrough came in the early 2010s with hits like Just the Way You Are and Grenade, but it was the release of 24K Magic that elevated him into rare air. The album dominated radio, revived funk and R&B aesthetics for a new generation, and swept the 2018 Grammy Awards, winning Album of the Year among its 6 trophies. Critics praised its meticulous production. Fans embraced its nostalgia and swagger. Bruno Mars had proven he could bridge eras without sounding derivative. Then, almost unexpectedly, he pivoted. In 2021, he teamed up with Anderson .Paak to form Silk Sonic, delivering a throwback soul project that felt both retro and fresh. The duo, Leave the Door Open, became a cultural reset, reaffirming Mars' ability to shape trends rather than chase them. But after Silk Sonic's success, Bruno Mars largely disappeared from the solo spotlight. No album, few interviews, select performances. In an industry driven by constant visibility, his restraint stood out. That's what makes Romantic Radio significant. According to promotional materials, the February 26 broadcast will feature an advanced stream of several new tracks, described as intimate, emotionally driven, and rooted in classic love song tradition. Fans can submit stories through iHeartRadio's Talkback feature, and Bruno will respond live, selecting stories, offering commentary, and pairing them with songs. It's an innovative hybrid of marketing and fan engagement, but it's also thematically aligned with his brand. Bruno Mars has always understood romance as performance. From When I Was Your Man to Versace on the Floor, his ballads are theatrical yet vulnerable. They are built for grand gestures and quiet apologies alike. A radio show centered on love stories isn't random, it reinforces the emotional core of his catalog. Music critic Alan Light recently noted, Bruno Mars doesn't just write love songs, he writes scenes. There's always a visual, a mood, a sense of occasion. That cinematic sensibility has long set him apart from his peers. Producers who have worked in adjacent circles describe his studio process as equally intentional. He'll spend hours on a snare tone, one veteran Los Angeles engineer said. He's chasing feel, not just sound, that's why his records age well. Industry insiders say the new album leans heavily into live instrumentation, horns, strings, layered harmonies, evoking 1970s and 1980s radio without sacrificing modern clarity. If accurate, that direction would be consistent with Mars' long-standing fascination with musical eras when radio felt communal and immersive. There's a certain poetic symmetry in debuting that material through a radio event rather than a streaming-first drop. In the streaming era, artists often release singles strategically to feed algorithms. Bruno Mars appears to be resisting that pace. By creating a moment, a scheduled, shared listening experience, he reintroduces anticipation into the process. The move could have ripple effects across the industry. Radio, once declared obsolete by tech optimists, remains powerful in shaping mainstream music consumption. Aligning a major album preview with iHeartRadio reinforces traditional broadcast platforms at a time when many artists bypass them entirely. Beyond strategy, there's cultural weight. Bruno Mars occupies a unique position in American pop. He is not defined by controversy. He is not driven by viral spectacle. His career has been remarkably scandal-free, built on craftsmanship and cross-generational appeal. Parents recognize his melodies. Younger audiences discover him through TikTok trends. Wedding DJs still rely on his catalog. In an era of fragmented audiences, he remains broadly accessible. That universality has occasionally sparked debate about genre ownership and cultural influence. Critics in past years have questioned his heavy borrowing from black musical traditions, funk, soul, R&B, yet many industry veterans argue that his reverence for those traditions, coupled with collaborations and visible acknowledgement of influences, places him within a long lineage of cross-genre evolution rather than appropriation. Music has always been conversation, one veteran Motown session musician said in a past interview. What matters is respect. Bruno does the homework. If the romantic builds upon those traditions while adding new dimensions, it may further solidify his role as a modern curator of classic sound. Commercially, expectations are high. His previous solo work moved millions of units globally. Streaming numbers for legacy tracks continue to climb. His Las Vegas residencies sell out consistently, demonstrating his enduring draw as a live performer. But beyond numbers, there's narrative momentum. The timing of this album, 10 years after 24K Magic, suggests reflection. Artists often reassess their identities at the decade mark. Do they evolve? Do they double down on signature style? Do they surprise audiences entirely? Early descriptions imply a romantic through line, perhaps even a conceptual cohesion. If so, that would represent a shift from his previous albums, which balanced party anthems with heartbreak ballads. A fully thematic project could reveal a more focused, possibly more vulnerable Bruno Mars. The radio format supports that intimacy. There's something inherently human about hearing a voice speak between songs. It strips away stage lighting and choreography. It allows pauses, laughter, spontaneity. For fans submitting love stories, the possibility of receiving a personalized dedication from Bruno Mars adds a layer of emotional participation rarely seen at this scale. It blurs the line between artist and audience. It transforms promotion into shared storytelling. From a branding perspective, it's smart. From a cultural perspective, it's nostalgic. Radio once created collective moments, families gathered around speakers, drivers tuning in simultaneously across cities. While today's listening habits are more individualized, a scheduled broadcast can still generate communal buzz, especially when amplified through social media clips and live reactions. If successful, romantic radio could set a precedent for album rollouts that feel experiential rather than transactional. Still, the real measure of this project will be the music itself. Bruno Mars built his reputation on hooks that linger and production that feels timeless. The bar is high, expectations are louder than ever, and silence has a way of intensifying scrutiny. Yet if history is any guide, he thrives under that pressure. He has navigated industry shifts, streaming revolutions, and changing pop trends without losing identity. He has balanced commercial ambition with musical discipline, and he has maintained an image rooted more in joy than in drama. As February 26 approaches, the anticipation is less about spectacle and more about substance. What stories will he tell? What emotions will he revisit? What risks will he take? In a music landscape driven by speed, Bruno Mars is choosing intention. When he goes live on iHeartRadio, microphone open, music cued, fans listening, it won't just be a promotional event. It will be a statement about romance, about radio, about artistry in an era of algorithms. And perhaps most importantly, it will be a reminder. Some artists dominate headlines, others define eras. If the romantic delivers on its promise, Bruno Mars may once again prove that timeless songwriting and thoughtful presentation still matter, not just for charts but for culture. The future of Bruno Mars is not built on constant noise, it is built on moments, carefully timed, carefully crafted, and when he chooses to speak or sing, the world still leans in to listen.